Hi everyone. Today we are going to see about the if the concrete cube fails. So we can refer IS 456-2000 reaffirm 2021. In class 17, the inspection and testing of structures are mentioned. In subclass 17.3, testing is there. In that, in case of doubt regarding the grade of concrete used, either due to poor workmanship or based on results of cube strength tests or compressive strength tests of concrete of the basis of 17.4 or load test may be carried out. We are not satisfied with our compressive strength in cubes and we have some workmanship doubt in the structure, we can go for core test. The core test is known as a destructive test. So we can destruct the structure and get the core and get the results from the core itself. In core test, the points from which cores are to be taken and the number of cores required shall be at the discretion of the engineer in charge and shall be representative of the whole of concrete concerned. In no case, however, shall fewer than 3 cores be tested. I want to put some clarity on cube casting. So, if we are casting some cubes, the cube record to be maintained with respect to the members. Before going to do the core test, we need to get the clarity from the structural engineer or engineer in charge for where the core cut need to be taken from the particular member. So if the compressive zone or tension zone, these are all the conditions are taken from the structural engineer, then only they say from where need to be taken the cores in a members. If unless otherwise specified, the 3 cores need to be tested. Core shall be prepared and tested as described in IS 516. So what is the core size? How we need to take the core from the structure, how to protect the core and how to test the core. So these are all the details are in IS 516 and we can see the detailed description later on. And concrete in the member represented by a core test shall be considered acceptable if the average equivalent cube strength of the course is equal to at least 85% of the cube strength of the grade of concrete specified for the corresponding age and no individual core has a strength less than 75%. So it means if we are taking a core of 3 samples and testing the 3 samples and getting the results, the average of 3 cores result is less than 85% of actual compressive strength, the test, the concrete, the member is unacceptable. And the 3 of the cores, the individual core, any one of the individual core should not be less than the 75% of original compressive strength. So these are the 2 conditions need to be taken. If the condition is fulfilled, the structure has to be acceptable. If the core test is not satisfied, we can do the load test. So load test for flexural members. We can carry out the load test in flexural members only. Other than flexural members, we can do the other analysis. For load test should be carried out as soon as possible after expiry of 28 days from the time of placing of concrete. So the load test can be done after 28 days of concreting. The structure should be subjected to a load equal to full dead load of the structure plus 1.25 times the imposed load for a period of 24 hours and then the imposed load shall be removed. This is the condition. For example, we have taken 10 meter by 3-meter slab, and we need to calculate the full dead load and 1.25 times of the imposed load. So we need to put the loads as a sandbag or solid blocks. So these are all the items to be taken out for the loads. The note is there. In note, dead load includes the self weight of the structural members plus weight of finishes on walls or partitions, if any, as considered in the design. So we need to consider the dead load of the finishes like solid block or brickworks, or partitions like dry partitions, or finishes like tiles, granite. So these are all the things need to be considered in a dead load. The deflection due to imposed load only shall be recorded if within 24 hours of removal of the imposed load, the structure does not recover at least 75% of the deflection under superimposed load. The test may be repeated after a lapse of 72 hours. If the recovery is less than 80%, the structure shall be deemed to be unacceptable. Example, 10 meter by 3 meter slab is there. Over to the slab, we need to put the loads of dead load and the 1.2 times of the imposed loads as a sandbags or a solid blocks, and record the 0 hour deflection in the soffit of the member, and record the 0 hour deflection in soffit in a particular location, and each and every 1 hour interval need to be checked the deflection in mm, and after 24 hours the imposed load need to be removed from the slab and the deflection should be recorded at the same location. If the deflection is not recovered 75%, another 72 hours we need to wait and take the reflection, or otherwise if the recover is above 80%, the structure can be acceptable. If the recover is less than 80%, the structure member can't be acceptable. If the maximum deflection in mm shown during 24 hours under load is less than 40 L square divided by D, where L is the effective span in meter and D is the overall depth of section in mm, it is not necessary for the recovery to be measured, and the recovery provisions of above classes shall not apply. It means the theoretical deflection formula is 40 L square divided by D. For example, 10 meter, 3 meter and 200 mm of thickness. So 40 into length is 10 meter. So 40 into 10 into 10 divided by 200. So the result is 20 mm. If deflection below the 20 mm, so we don't do the recover test. If it is more than 20 mm, we need to do the recover test. This is the condition for this node. And members other than the flexural members, should be preferably investigated by analysis. So what are all the analysis is there? Is non-destructive testers. In non-destructive testers are used to be obtain estimation of the properties of concrete in the structure. In core testers, we are directly get the compressive strength, but in non-destructive testers, we only get the properties of the concrete, where the concrete is less wideable, if the concrete is more dense, if the workmanship is well. So these are all the properties only we can get from the non-destructive testers. The methods adopted include ultrasonic pulse velocity and rebound hammer, prop penetration, pull out and maturity. These are all the testers are available for non-destructive testers, and most commonly used testers are ultrasonic pulse velocity and rebound hammer test. Non-destructive testers provide alternative to core testers for estimating the strength of concrete in a structure, or can supplement the data obtained from a limited number of cores. So, if the core test is minimum, the 3 numbers of cores are not to be taken. The 3 numbers of cores unable to taken, we can alternatively consider the non-destructive test results too. These methods are based on measuring a concrete property that bears some relationship to strength. The accuracy of these methods in part is determined by the degree of correlation between strength and the physical quality measurement by non-destructive testers. We are unable to get the compressive strength in directly. We need to do some degree of correlation between strength and the physical property, and then only we get the accuracy of the results. Any of these methods may be adopted, in which case the acceptance criteria shall be agreed upon prior to testing. So before going to start the testing, we need to consider this test has to be taken. This is the acceptance criteria of the test, and it has to be followed by further proceedings. So these are all the details need to be considered, need to be agreed before the testing. I think these are all the details are useful for your learnings. Thank you.